How'd you do that? What was that power?
I'm not sure exactly.
You're not sure? Huh. You're a fascinating creature.
Huh? What the? Why did you stop?
I just want to hear you say that you give up.
Huh? Well, I do. I do give up. I've given all I've got, Lord Beerus, but there's still no way I can beat you. I mean, you're the strongest in the whole universe.
I'll tell you one more thing, and I expect you'll be quite surprised as well.
What? Have you decided not to destroy Earth after all?
No, not that. I told you I would, and a destroyer god must keep his credibility.
Oh, really? Okay, then what?
You see my attendant Whis over there enjoying his lovely parfait.
Huh? Yeah. So what?
While it's true that he waits on me hand and foot, he's also my teacher.
Your teacher? Seriously? Does that mean you're not the strongest in the universe?
Depends on which reality you're referring to. I'm the destroyer from this universe, the 7th. But there are others too. 12 universes altogether. And some have spawned warriors even mightier than us. I'm part Ishvalan on my grandfather's side. I wish we didn't have to meet like this, red-eyed brother of mine. How can you bring yourself to be part of the Amestrian military? My objective is to work from the inside to change how the people of this country view the people of Ishval. I don't think that great a task will be easy to accomplish. Who knows how long it will take. But still, my mixed blood gives me a slight advantage at least. I'm an Ishvalan pebble tossed into the ocean of the Amestrian military. Maybe in time, the ripples I create will become great waves. And do you want to know what the most ironic part about it is? It was an Amestrian who set me on this path in the first place.
And then you go. Sorry, I just get nervous when I have guests on here. I'm trying
to. Man, I was doing the same thing. Getting my breathing exercises in.
That's good. But how's your day going?
Thanks. Yeah, it's going okay. Just got a bunch of stuff I'm knocking out. A lot of appointments. I'm getting ready to go out of town for an appearance in UK. So got a lot of last minute little details to work out. So about yourself, Phil, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What's up, man?
It's my first time meeting you. Like, I've already met a few actors since 2018. I already met like Monica and Chris. So I'm thinking I just saw the list for Bold Matsuri in Jacksonville, Florida, and Sonny Strait and Lucy Christian are going to be there. I was like, I guess I need to go back to Florida, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I've been on a bunch of shows there in Florida in the last few years. There's some great audiences down there. So
yeah, I just couldn't make it because life gets in the way, and money. Here's the thing: it's expensive to go to those places, and it's like I'm just a guy just trying to make as much money, save money, and everything. You guys are the stars here. I mean,
well, that's very kind. Where are you based, Phil?
I'm based in Georgia.
You down Georgia? Okay, near Atlanta or
I'm in Savannah.
You're in Savannah? Okay, all right.
Yeah, but I'm not far from Atlanta.
Okay. Spend a lot of time in Georgia.
Yeah. So, but I've been telling people kept DMing me saying, when you going to another convention or whatnot? I was like, and I have enough money to do so. Because it's not because it's not easy to get there.
Understood.
So I told him in the meantime, enjoy these episodes I'm doing. Enjoy the show. I'm here doing that homework.
Yeah, there you go. This
So
is your way of getting out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, if the small talk is over, I always like to do the small talk first before we get into it. Okay, that's how I do things. If the small talk is over, I guess we can go ahead and get this thing underway.
Let's go.
Yeah, nice to meet you. My name is Phil. I'm host of the Conversation Podcast, and I have a special guest with me here today. You might know him as some of these characters in Dragon Ball Fullmetal Alchemist, especially as Beerus the Destroyer in Dragon Ball Super. I'm joined by Jason today. Nice to have you here.
What's up, Phil? Thanks, man. It's great to be here with you and your audience.
Thanks. Now, before we get into it, I want to start a little bit of an icebreaker.
Okay.
Have you tried, if you've been to all these places, to these shows, have you tried any good restaurants in those different areas?
Yeah, there's I feel like every city I go to has a local favorite, and I'm a big fan of the Anthony Bourdain philosophy of just get out there and try to figure out what the locals are eating and get away from the touristy places. So yeah, every place I go, I feel like there's a little local haunt, that I can scare up if I have time. So it's always the goal.
True. I've been trying to go to different restaurants myself. I've been going to places this is one place that's in my hometown. It's called Madam Butterfly. It's really good. Korean barbecue restaurant. I usually go there on special occasions.
Yeah, of course. So that would be your local place. And if I come to your town, I should go there, Madam Butterfly.
Yeah, I can point it out to you if I'm if you like.
Sure. If I'm ever in the area, absolutely.
Yeah, they got some good places. Savannah is a small town, but they do have some good restaurants.
Good. That's important. So,
well, now that the ice is broken, I just want to test that out because I know some of you guys don't. Y'all be at conventions, but y'all also got the time to go out and try different places as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as much as possible. And I just I talk to whoever's at the show who is from around there, and they'll often say, "Oh, you got to go to this place. You got to go." Yeah. Just as importantly, they're like, "Don't go to that place. Go to this other place instead." So, I'm a bit of a foodie. If you know anything about Beerus and Weiss from the Dragon Ball show, we're all about the food and the eating, and that's something that we have in common with our characters. So
hey, I've been watching the show since it first came on in 2015. Yes, I've seen everything. Yeah. So let's go ahead. Now that the ice is broken, let's go ahead and get into this. Okay, so section one only has 3 questions. Okay,
all right.
Section 1 is the origin, the foundation. Now, before you step behind the mic, what kinds of stories or characters pulled you in? And do you still see that influence in your work today?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, I grew up watching sitcoms as well as late night television. I was a fan of the kind of slapstick stuff that was happening on shows like Three's Company, but I was also staying up late on the weekends and watching Saturday Night Live and SCTV, especially SCTV. It had this kind of interesting kind of dry humor that I think kind of blends an American style with a kind of British style of humor. And of course, I was into Monty Python, all that's comedic stuff. Why didn't I go into comedy or stand-up? I don't know, but when I started working as an actor, when I started training as an actor, I was really, I was just intrigued by the words, the wordplay, the use of language. And so I kind of fell in love with Shakespeare. I really started my career as an aspiring stage actor. And at a certain point in my early 20s, my career goal was to just kind of be a member of some kind of a regional theater company. By the time I was in my early 30s. Instead, I got married, had a family, started doing film and television, kept doing anime, and still had time to do theater, but less and less time. So my theater dreams weren't quite realized, but I'm still a working actor. So But that's the early origin stuff. Just kind of just being a fan of movies, just going to that cinematic experience that we all have when we go to the movies. We sit down, the lights go down. It's it's always been kind of magical to me, and so I've always just aspired to recreate that as much as I can in my work, in my art, in my life. So.
Oh, it's definitely all those sitcoms back in the day. Those were like golden classics. Like, because my parents were huge fans of like the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like the Flintstones and all that stuff. Those are really good shows. And we have more people who take all the inspiration from those old sitcoms into what we're experiencing today.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the kids of today have their own things they're into. Hopefully, they're also inspired by something that is quality and something that will just inspire them to do great work. But we work with what we have, and if you were an adolescent or a teenage kid growing up in the 1980s, this was pre-internet, pre-streaming. Video rental was popular, but we all had cable, and we still went to the movies. There was no thought of I'll just wait for it. If it looked like it was a mediocre movie, then you might just wait for it on some kind of rental. But going to the movies was a pastime for a lot of us, and the studios supported that. They had long viewing windows of new films at the movie. So if you were going to go see a movie at the theater, that might be your only shot to see it for 4 to 6 months or even 9 months before you would have a chance to rent it on home video. So that kind of shaped our childhoods. Now, you guys and the young people of today, you can just turn on your screen and you can toggle over to Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max and Paramount Plus. I mean, they're all there. You can just rent you've got an unbelievable access to an incredible library of films. Sadly, there's still a lot of things that are not easily accessible, even on the streaming platforms. But I don't know how that affects kids of today. A lot of kids of today are growing up watching anime. I mean, we watched our fair share of cartoons, but the amount of anime out there is just crazy. And so a lot of people their work and their aspirations, especially as actors, seem to be influenced by anime. And that's something that's very, very different from when I was a kid.
I want to add on to that. There's been a few content creators I've been seeing on Instagram who kept old TVs to like show all these old anime cartoons playing on the old TVs back in the day. They played like Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Z. Listen, I used to have my video cassettes and I watched The Lion King 15 times when I was a kid.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, you find what you like, right?
Yeah. And listen, I've been going to so many thrift stores. When I went to one called Mid-March that's in Broughton Street in downtown Savannah, if you go to the back, they have the video cassettes in the back because they're keeping a bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah. I hear that a lot of those video cassettes are increasingly valuable. And I just remember thinking, man, these things are worthless. Like, who's gonna, but now people are looking for them. So I still have a few. When I started my career working for a company called ADV Films, they were kind of one of the early pioneers in anime distribution, and that was the first anime voice work that I ever did. And but all their stuff initially was output and distributed on VHS tape. So you had to choose a tape. You want the sub version or the dub version. It wasn't like on the same. Just a couple of years later, when they started getting into DVDs and phasing out the VHS, of course, all of that was on the same disc, and that's when we started getting all the extras that go along with DVD. But now you got to find that stuff online if you can find it at all. So,
I found a few things online already. So, listen, I just listen on my day out and stuff. I just like browsing and shopping and looking at old stuff. I mean, I just like doing that because I was like, man, I remember when I was a kid, I used to pick. Those were good days. But ever since then, they would then lean a lot of like streams. So like there was a lot of cartoons that were moved from HBO Max. And I was like, what? I can't watch my shows no more.
Right.
And And I saw an Instagram post by Kyle Haybert saying, you know what sucks about streaming services? You know, when the stuff that you want to watch goes out, is not available anymore. But if you're a collector like me, you won't have to worry about that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure, it may take up more space, but you'll always be close to the stuff you love. He was watching Looney Tunes.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, if you can get into some like media, hard copies, then you'll always have it. And you know, Blu-ray is such a great format. I mean, it's backwards compatible with DVD. So if you've got a good Blu-ray player, you can play old DVDs, you can play the new Blu-rays, and they look great, they sound great. You know, assuming it's a good transfer. Yeah, so I wish they would, you know, make all of that stuff available that way, and it doesn't take up too much space. You know, it's not as bad as those chunky VHS tapes. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Well, but I'm thinking about getting like Blu-ray and video cassettes, but just need to have the money and the room for that first. It's expensive.
Your podcasting career's got to blow up. So once that happens, you'll be in the clear, right?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on to the next question, shall we? Now this is an important question. Was there ever a moment early on where you almost walked away from voice acting, but what made you stay?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, I don't know. I was at, when I was doing work in the early 2000s with ADV Films. At a certain point, that stuff kind of slowed down for me, and at the same time, I was getting busier doing sort of on-camera work, film and television, and I think I thought, you know, maybe that, you know, anime or voice acting anime career anyway is kind of behind me. For whatever reason, I just, you know, I felt like I had done everything I could have wanted to do. A lot of people don't realize until they meet me or they start looking up my credits, what a kind of a deep background in anime I actually do have. I mean, I'm better known now for more recent characters like Beerus, the Destroyer, and you know, obviously shows like One Piece and Fairy Tail, and those are all sort of Funimation Crunchyroll shows. But I did a lot of stuff in Houston with ADV Films, and when that stuff slowed down, I just thought, well, maybe it's time for me to move on in my career, and I kind of did. For a couple of years, I focused. I think if you were to like kind of look at the release dates of everything I've ever done, you would probably see a bit of a gap somewhere between, I don't know, 2006 and 2008 or 9, where my output decreased significantly. But when I started working with then Funimation, then things started steadily increasing again. And I never really looked back. I always felt like, you know, I'm an actor. I'm not necessarily trying to be an anime voice actor. I'm just trying to be an actor. And this is one of the ways that I'm, you know, creating characters and making a living. So yeah, I will continue to do this as long as there are companies that are willing to hire me to do it. And even if I'm not doing anime voices, I'm probably doing other things. I'm probably doing voices for commercials, industrial projects, possibly, you know, books, you know, audiobooks. So, you know, I like to think of myself as versatile. I still love film and television, and I've done a couple of like really exciting short films in the last few months that I'm excited to see released, hopefully before the end of the year. And yeah, so I'll keep doing all the things that I'm doing, because my philosophy has always been, the more you do, the more you can do in this business, the more likely you are to find a place and to be able to stay in it. So.
Yeah, of course, and I'll agree, because listen, I talked to previous people, and it's like, you know, you guys do voice acting, but I know that's not all you guys do for like shows. You know, y'all got other careers besides the voiceover, and that's understandable because you got to have a foundation to keep this stuff afloat, because you got so many projects coming out, and you got to find a way, like, shoot, I got to make sure I have something to back up so I can keep doing this kind of thing, because that's something that people would like to see, because they want to see other works that I've done as well.
I hope that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, because some of you guys do, y'all do audio engineering, some of you guys are singers, etc. And I like that. I was like, okay, so voice acting is not listen, and I apologize, Jason. When I was in high school, I was all for entertainment, just trying to meet y'all, get signatures or whatnot, pictures. But I'm starting to dive deep into your minds now. I understand, okay, this is not the only thing they do for a living. They got other day jobs as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I would say there's a lot of us that kind of do this for a living in various ways. It doesn't look like, it may not look like what fans might think at first. They might think that, hey, these guys are only doing anime voices and they're at the studio all day, and they're this is the only thing they're doing. But as it turns out, we do have to be versatile. We have to have I think what I call a kind of a variety of income sources. And so, yeah, I think it keeps us on our toes. I think it's definitely something that we feel lucky, we feel blessed to get the work that we get. But I don't know. I've always just felt like it's a fickle industry, and you might be popular this week, but next week, folks have moved on. And so, there are some folks that do other things entirely. I had dinner recently with another voice actor named John Grimion, and he's a professional film editor by trade. He sort of fell into the world of voice acting. So, yeah, it's a business that doesn't always love you back. So you kind of have to work to kind of stay in it.
Of course. And I also will tell you this before we get to the next sentence. I've also completed my cybersecurity program last Christmas.
Oh, good for you.
So I already got like a lot of certificates coming to my mail. So I'm also looking for other jobs too, because pretty much with cybersecurity, I can work anywhere because technology is evolving. And it's like, well, shoot, I guess I could work in some of these media companies that need cybersecurity. Because let me tell you something. If you remember that news article that happened back in 2022, when you guys were doing the Dragon Ball Super superhero movie, there was a network intrusion at Toei Animation in Japan.
Right. Yeah, I sort of vaguely recall that. Yeah, I know Sony over here in the States had a big one. A lot of movies were leaked. So
it's crazy. Like I know people are dying to see the movie, but I'm a patient man. I'll wait till it releases now. But
sure.
all these network intrusions, you need people who can handle that sort of thing. So I was thinking, well, shoot, because I want to do work in places like Apple, Sony, Crunchyroll. You guys, who knows? I might, like, in the next few years, I might be out of the country for years working on a few technology companies. But it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Well, good for you, Phil. I think you're going to do well, and just keep pushing and chugging forward. And you gotta stay positive. So
exactly. Well, the next one's your favorite because Section 2 is about Beerus. By the way, I did do an IG live stream and watch the whole Battle of Gods again just to be ready.
Oh, good. Excellent.
So listen, I like doing my homework.
Good.
So Beerus and Dragon Ball Super. Now, when you first auditioned for Beerus, did you approach him as a villain, a god, or something completely outside of human understanding?
Yeah, sure. I think when it comes to anime kind of auditions and the characters, and when we first see them, we think in very broad terms about the type of character it is. It definitely seemed like Beerus was definitely a villainous character, and so the first time I did Beerus, I think it was for the Dragon Ball Xenoverse games, and he wasn't really as fleshed out. But when we got to do Battle of the Gods, you get that whole opening scene, that first 10 or so minutes, where it's just Beerus and Whis, up in the lair, out in some corner of the galaxy, and so that was definitely an education in what Beerus was about. Really, a gift from the studio Toei and Akira Toriyama to try to kind of introduce that character as much to the fans as obviously to those of us who are working on the show. But yeah, I think as information about the character unfolded, I think it became certainly more interesting, and we realized that obviously there's a sinister side, but there's this kind of sort of mysterious and playful side as well, which is kind of fun. So yeah, he certainly felt like he was going to be a kind of classic. If nothing else, he would have been a classic DBZ style villain, right up there with Cell and Frieza, Majin Buu, right? But obviously Toriyama had other ideas, and that was something that came as a surprise, I think, to everyone, fans and actors alike.
Right. Because I know when they introduced him in Battle of Gods, King Kai, was saying stuff like he's no good or evil. It's basically like he's like the equal opposite, like, Kais are supposed to create stuff, but there are also gods who live to destroy things. Because it's their natural way of doing things. Like gods are not supposed to interfere. They're supposed to watch the conflict happening.
Yeah, in the world of Dragon Ball, it certainly seems to be true. They are, just forces of nature. Right. And so I think that's always how I really thought about Beerus, is that they seem to represent really the kind of the unseen forces of the universe itself. When a tornado or a hurricane rips through an area, that's a Beerus, right? Like that's a and it shows no favoritism. It just pushes through and whatever's in its path, and that's kind of Beerus philosophy, but really it's a philosophy handed down from a higher place than him. He's fulfilling an obligation in a sense to the universe. It doesn't seem like he invented his job. It seems like he ascended to the job at some point.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And in some sense, and I did play Dragon Ball FighterZ, by the way. Dragon Ball FighterZ is brutal. Like I kept losing every online match. This is too much.
Yeah. People are good.
But I've seen I've seen some scenes where Bulma, Monica was telling you trying to say like, hey, you can help us thrash him for us, right? But as we said before, it really is none of my business,
Right. Yeah. It's far less important to Beerus than it seems to be to our Saiyan friends and to the Earth. He definitely, and I think we as an audience are meant to kind of remember that he's not like one of the family, in the way that we think of Gohan and all he is definitely from outside of known space and time. He has kind of stepped into it temporarily. And just remember, he wants to finish what he needs to get done so that he can go back to taking a nap. Yeah. I feel like Beerus is going to have to destroy something soon. He's getting a little antsy.
Yeah. And especially now that you guys are back. After 8 years, I was like, listen, I've seen so many people in the Dragon Ball community were saying like, oh, when is Dragon Ball Super coming back? When is it coming back?
Yeah.
Listen, they want to make sure it's perfect. You don't want to listen. I've always told people this, and listen, I learned from my mistakes too. When I was doing like my own gaming channel, the quality wasn't as good. I wasn't getting as much views, so I deleted my gaming channel, start all over. Sure. It's all about the quality over quantity.
Right. Yeah, I think so, for sure. And I think that's what I'm hearing is the team at Toei has decided that they want to kind of have another crack at the, at Dragon Ball Super, kind of make it much more exciting, go back and just do some things the way they maybe would like to have done them. And then they want to move on. So I think we're going to get a fantastic new, Dragon Ball Beerus series this fall, and I'm super excited to be a part of it. I know all my colleagues are for sure.
Well, hey, I'll make sure to pop some popcorn and watch it.
Hey, you can pop some popcorn or some chicken wings, whatever you want, man. Like, let's get it. Let's pull out get some sushi, maybe a big old bowl of ramen, have a couple of pudding cups.
There you go.
You treat it like the Super Bowl, man.
Yes, it is. So, next one. Beerus balances humor, laziness,
Mm-hmm.
and destruction, of course.
Yeah.
Now, what human truth do you think exists at his core?
Boredom. He's bored. He's been asleep. He's been at this job for millions of years. I mean, how long has he been at this? And he's still he's still looking. He's seen it all, right? He's seen everything there is to see. He would love to I almost think he would love to be evenly matched in a battle. He would love to be um, uh, you know, I think when he says this, when he gets excited in the Battle of the Gods, this what is this Super Saiyan God? What is this force that's awakening that is the most powerful in the universe? Maybe he's thinking, I can go on break now. I don't know. It's other than taking these long naps. I mean, I don't know. It's just I think that's why he takes such delight in strange things like the taste of a pudding or a bowl of hot ramen or a cheesy pizza. I think Beerus has run out of thrills, and so I think there's this just this very human sort of curiosity and wanderlust, right? That he has. I think Beerus is interesting as a character because he is very human. Like in spite of being this otherworldly being that is all powerful, I think what we find about him, what is endearing about Beerus as a character, is his recognizable sort of humanity. As it turns out.
I just tell like when people run the wrong way, I just see them like they get angry now. It's like I can feel the shiver.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to get on his bad side. Listen, it's like he has so many different faces.
He does.
So just gotta make sure you know which face you're on, so you'll be ready.
Absolutely, yeah. You don't want to be on Beerus's bad side. That's for sure. Give him what he wants. Give him the pudding.
I've seen so many funny scenes in Dragon Ball Super, including the battle guys when we give him the pudding and all that stuff. When Goku and Vegeta ate all his pizza, he lost his mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as much as he wanted the pizza, he also is not used to not getting his way. If he wants something, he gets it. If he's not given to him, he destroys, So, why doesn't he just destroy Goku and Vegeta? They've offended him so many times. He must be getting something else from them that he finds stimulating.
It's the food.
Well, there's the food, sure, but there's more. I think there's more than that. I think there's something that Beerus, at least in the Super story that we have been given, there's something about his time with the Saiyans that has, in some ways, awakened something in Beerus. So, but that's just my conjecture as an actor. Who knows?
I accept it.
Great.
So, like I said, I want you guys to preach. So, next up, was there a specific moment or scene where you feel like, okay, I'm Beerus now?
Yeah. I don't know. It probably happened early on where we really discovered the character. I've talked about that opening scene in Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods, where we're introduced to Beerus, and we get some of that again in the series. I think the battles, some of what you've probably seen online. I still hear about people who've seen the the video of Sean and I in the big the battle scenes.
Yes,
where they kind of the cuts to us in the booth, kind of doing that was. That was, I think, pretty revealing, I think, to both of us, and for me in particular. Of course, Sean's been doing the character for years, but this was Beerus kind of in an all-out battle mode against, what probably felt like somewhat of a challenge. Probably not using full power as Beerus, but still, like, this is a pretty great sparring partner I've got here. Let's see what he's got. Let's see what I can pull out of him, and so. It's that sort of thing, and then just the general inquisitiveness about food and about people and about, the strangeness around Zeno and,
Oh, he's terrified of Zeno.
yeah, I don't know if there's any one moment that stands out, but I think by the time we got into Dragon Ball Super a bit, it certainly felt comfortable to me as a character.
Okay, that's sweet. FYI, Sean's going to be at Bulma City in Jacksonville as well. So,
oh, good. Enjoy it if you have a chance to go.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like, sheesh, all these guys give me reasons to come back. But
Sure.
but yes, sparring. Like, I've seen that video so many times. I was like, man, do these guys ever get tired of yelling at each other? They're gonna lose their voice if this keeps up.
Yeah.
But that's how the story's written,
Exactly. You got it,
So,
man.
I just hope y'all taking lots of medicine and everything.
Well, I'm sure if we need to, we'll definitely take the medicine.
Gotcha. Last question this section, and then we'll be in section 3, Dragon Ball Legacy and its return.
Gotcha.
So, if Beerus had no dialogue and you had to express him only through tone, silence, and breath, what would that version of him feel like?
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Probably it would feel like the moments that you're standing on your porch watching a storm roll in, and it's going to be a bad one. You can see you've still got blue sky above you, but you can see the gray clouds in the distance, and you can even see the lightning in those clouds, and you're like, oh no, I better get down to the cellar quick. I think it's got to have that sense of impending doom, of danger, because again, that's what Beerus is. He is a force of nature, like an incoming storm that you better, if you can't get out of the way, you better duck, because it's coming. And and I think of characters that are not terribly verbose. I don't know, for some reason, the first character I thought of was Mike Ehrmantraut from Breaking Bad, who does have lines, of course, but when you first meet him, he's just going to work, he's doing his business, and you're like, there's something about this guy. And so yeah, if Beerus didn't have lines, if he just spoke without words, if he didn't speak, he would, in some ways, he would be even more sinister, I think. Because what he would have is his confidence, and he would have his power, and he would have his elegance and his experience. And so not speaking would feel even more dangerous, I think.
Ooh, don't even imagine. It's always the quiet ones. Like, I see so many shows where people are just quiet, and it's like an explosion just waiting to happen.
Right? Yeah. It's a very effective. Quiet is a very effective acting technique. More actors need to learn that.
I'll tell you a little funny something. I was watching, like, are you familiar with the video game Left 4 Dead by any chance?
No, I haven't played it. Don't know it.
It's by Valve. There was this match I was watching. I think this guy did an amazing job editing all these scenes and make them in the series. When they were going through the warehouse trying to get to the evacuation point at Mercy Hospital, he was like, man, it's quiet. Too damn quiet. It's like, you ever get the feeling you're being watched? There was a hunter on top of them being quiet, ready to pounce on them.
Yeah.
That's why it's too quiet.
Right. Something's coming.
That's the terrifying and funny part. Like, oh shoot, it's like, hey, I don't know what's about to happen, but just be ready.
Sure, that's it. Be ready.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm laughing.
All right.
So, now that we're done with section, we're in section 3 now, Dragon Ball Legacy and its return. I think everybody's seen the trailer after the whole Dragon Ball hour, whatever it was. Like, we are back in business.
We are back in business. Yeah. I sounds like Toei's got some really new and exciting ideas about where to take the Dragon Ball franchise, and it obviously includes, just like we previously talked about, we're going to revisit some of the old stuff, and I think it sounds like we're going to push full steam ahead into kind of some of the things that fans have been asking about for years. And so that's good for us. We can't wait to jump in and be a part of that as much as possible. So
I'm gonna do a whole Dragon Ball Super Dragon Ball marathon before the remaster comes. Because listen, ever since I got back, I'm doing these live streams now, so it's been fun.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of fans who even still are still catching up to Dragon Ball Super. I mean, you wouldn't believe it, but there's kids out there, and they are the maybe third generation of young people coming up. Just growing up, and Dragon Ball Super was on, and so I think Dragon Ball is going to be around in some form for a very long time.
Oof, yeah, especially with One Piece keep going. It's going to be crazy.
Incredible, right?
So let's get into it. Now, when did it really hit you? You already know the answer to this, that Dragon Ball isn't just popular, it's a generational and global franchise.
Sure. I've done these public events for a few years now, and anytime Dragon Ball is the focus, especially when I've been, when I've had a chance to do some high profile events, like New York Comic-Con, man, the Dragon Ball fans, they really come out for it. And you see like guys that are now in their 30s and 40s who grew up watching Dragon Ball, and they've got their younger brothers or their kids, in tow, and now they're Dragon Ball fans. And so, Dragon Ball is special to a generation of young people. And unlike a lot of things where we outgrow a lot of the things of our youth, but for fans of Dragon Ball, a lot of them grew up and just continued to watch and rewatch and play the video games. And when Battle of the Gods came out, they showed up for it at the movie theater. When Resurrection F came out, they were there for that. They were there for the Broly movie. They were there for the superhero movie. And they've been clamoring for more Dragon Ball Super. They want to get to the Moro arc. They want, and I think Toei, to their credit, is giving the audience what they want. So, yeah, it's amazing.
Like, give them a cookie. Give them a cookie.
Well, they don't want just a cookie, man. They want a
full-size cake.
There you go. Exactly.
Yes. Listen, I've been to so many conventions. Listen, when I was at Boat Missouri last year, and I saw Chris Sabat, because thing is, I was trying to get him to sign my All Might figure, and he did sign it.
Good.
His line was packed.
Of course, yeah.
Just for Dragon Ball, and I was like, oh, this for Chris, but I really can't blame him. He's been doing this for years. So
yeah, sure, he's a big guy, man. He's done a lot, and he's done a lot of really great characters over the years, and he deserves all the love, man.
Yeah, I actually had like footage. Like I have recorded footage. Of course, I paid for the recording first.
Sure.
I recorded him signing my All Might. He's like, I ain't seen this before. Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing: that All Might figure that I got it from Japan.
Wow. Yeah. That's what fans do. Yeah, you send off for that stuff. You find out who's making it over there, and you can't get it over here. So you gotta figure out how to get it. So yeah.
Exactly. Definitely. All those things that you see online, they're not in the States. That's stuff you gotta have to order like from out of the country. Sure. And it came up to my doorstep. I was like, well, Chris Sabat's close by in Florida. I can go there and get him to sign this right quick. So I went down to Florida and he signed it for me.
Yeah, there you go. See, it's just that easy. Not necessarily cheap, but it can be done. I found some Vice Schwartz game cards online for some other characters that I do, and they're not available in the States, but I was able to get some from Japan, and that was kind of cool because when I show up to conventions with those, the fans are usually pretty delighted to see that, because it's hard for it can be hard to find those. A lot of card shops just aren't carrying them yet, and they're not just easily available anywhere. So
But yeah, all those places where you got so many fans, because I know like they just had MegaCon Orlando. It was huge, and it's crazy sad. Couldn't make it because, like I said, I didn't have the money for it, because things I've been paying off a lot. Look, listen, life is a priority for us. The fun stuff will come later. The fun stuff will come later.
Absolutely.
So don't if I can't make it, I'll be there in spirit, okay?
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
That works too. But yeah, like people who like go to like all these Dragon Ball battle hours in Los Angeles, California, all these, yeah, it's a lifelong. Listen, I've seen so many Dragon Ball creators online. There's a friend of mine who loves Dragon Ball, and he does like Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle content, as well as there's also Black Boma. She's pretty huge. So
Okay.
she's and of course it's just Goshen 4 as well. Yeah, I know most of them. They haven't met me yet, but I know who they are. Ultra Tech is the one who follows me. He does Dokkan battle content. We know each other pretty well. But I've seen so many Dragon Ball content creators do so much Dragon Ball content because Dragon Ball is all they like. They don't watch anything else. It's just Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
and I was like, I can respect that. And listen, no offense, I don't want Dragon Ball to take up my whole room. There's more stuff I could be exploring. That's why my room is like have a lot of diversity. You see like Guardians of the Galaxy, the Avengers, Sonic, the Batman Arkham Trilogy pops I got up here.
Sure.
I'm just trying to keep it diverse, man.
Yeah. You got to pursue your fandom, man, no matter what.
Exactly. So, but shoot, the next convention I go to, I know if there's going to be like big names like Sean, who's going to be in Florida, then I better be prepared for a long line.
Yeah, for sure. Sean's always going to be long. Chris is always going to be long. I think Monica Rial does pretty good and is pretty long lines.
Sunny Straight's going to be there too. Sunny Straight.
Yeah. But those are all folks that are worth kind of following and watching, definitely. And try to meet them if you can, because they're all unique personalities. Of course, Monica and I go way back. I'm a big fan of Monica and her work, and she's one of the kindest people that you could ever meet. And Sonny, such a funny guy, so talented. Chris and Sean, they're just I don't know where they get their energy. It's incredible. So definitely worth it for sure.
Well, I met Chris again after 8 years, so maybe it's possible that I'll make it work. I'll make it work.
You'll do it.
So, next up, this is going to be a fun question. Now, coming back to Beerus after time has passed, 8 years is a long time.
It is.
Does it feel like revisiting a role or reconnecting with a version of yourself?
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like I've never really left Beerus, even though it's been 8 years. I guess since the end of, is that right? 8 years since the end of Dragon Ball Super?
Yes, 8 years, 2018, man.
Wow, man, that's just unbelievable. I try not to do math these days. It makes me feel old.
I understand.
We've continued to do games like Fighters and
Sparking
Zero, even the Dokkan Battle,
Dragon Ball Legends,
the Dokkan Battle, the card game. There's the handheld phone sort of version of the Dragon Ball Super card game, and we do voices for that. So we continue to do those, and of course there's the movies. So even though it's been a few years since we've done the Dragon Ball Super, we still had like Super. The Broly movie and the superhero movie. So Beerus is always lurking around. It seems like it's never more than 4 or 5 months before they call me to come back in and do some like a DLC for one of the games as Beerus. But yeah, in that time, I think Beerus has kind of worked his way into kind of my psyche, and it feels like it's just the character is kind of in some ways part of who I am, and so it's really just like slipping into a comfortable, robe or something.
Yeah, and to be honest, that's kind of like when the shows don't come back, you gotta have the company's got to have a backup plan. And I've seen this tactic throughout the years doing all these pop culture things. They have games, shorts, just mini series. Because when fans want to see Dragon Ball again, they came out with Dragon Ball Daima back in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
So something like let's give the fans a little bit something. We don't want to give them the whole enchilada.
Right. Yeah, and I think we have to remember that it takes time to formulate and to illustrate and to plan around the release, particularly of a series. That always requires an ongoing, team of people. So you have to hire up for that stuff. That's why it's always tough when a show gets canceled right in the middle of a great run. Sometimes you hear about a show getting canceled, and there's just like a very narrow window of time where maybe another network could pick it up. But the problem is that when you stop production of a show, all the people that were working on it, they start doing other things, and they move on to other companies or they move on to other projects, and so it takes a lot of effort to relaunch something. So I'm glad that Toei found a way to do it. I often wondered why it took so long for us to come back to Dragon Ball Super, just because I know how important the show is to the fans, but I have no insider information, so I don't know what their thinking is. But I'm glad that they have decided to bring that series back. If for nothing else, I have something to talk about now with the fans. They're who constantly come up and they're like, "Do you know when this is gonna happen?" And I'm always like, "No, I don't have any idea."
We don't know.
Now I can say this fall, 2026.
Yeah, and ever since I moved on to like different pop culture stuff, I was like, yeah, Dragon Ball will come back when it's ready. Because I know some fans they come up to you guys and they ask so many questions. I was like, well, I grew tired. I don't want to harass them over that. Let it come when it comes.
Yeah.
And shoot, like it's been in a long time, and it's like 8 years. By the way, with Dokkan down, I stopped playing that game. Listen, when they did the 10th anniversary last year in 2025, I spent like $700 on the 10th anniversary.
Woo! Wow.
Yes. Yeah. Those dang gotcha games. I can't take it anymore.
Oof.
So after that, I decided to sell my account. Yeah. So now with Dokkan, I make music videos off of them.
Yeah,
all those animations.
Yeah.
Listen, when they did the 11th, I did the new music video for Dragon Ball Daima. Okay. It's amazing. So I don't know, like because I also did the one because they just dropped the new Super Saiyan 2 Goku and Majin Vegeta from the Majin Buu saga. And I used a song from Dragon Ball Kai, the final chapters, was just from Good Morning America, which was also the first opening theme for your show as well, Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah. Excellent.
So yeah, I found other ways to enjoy the game without spending money because I'm moving on to bigger things now. I ain't spending my money on these gotcha games no more.
Right. Yeah. I don't want to do that. That's a good way to drain your bank account. You could have spent that money to come out to a show and meet some people.
I know. I learned my lesson. That's why I'm saving up money now. I still have a lot of money.
Yeah.
So now I'm back to where I started because now I'm almost back to $2,000. So I was like, well, shoot, I guess I could go somewhere this summer since I'm saving up all this money. So
be sure you got an emergency fund.
Yes.
Be sure you put away for retirement.
Of course. I got my new savings account, putting that aside, just letting the money sit there.
Let it sit there. Yeah. There's no reason to spend all of it in one place.
Listen, Jason, I learned my lesson after last year. I'm done from going forward. Though, listen, the more characters they drop on Dokkan, the more music videos I can make.
There you go.
So that's a new way to enjoy it.
You bet.
So, next up, now with the renewed spotlight on Dragon Ball Super, how do you mentally step back into that world? Has anything changed for you from the last few years?
I'm a little older, a little wiser. Maybe my voice is a little more gravelly. I don't know. It's like I said before, I feel like we've never really left the Dragon Ball world just because of all the other tie-ins and stuff that we have continued to do. But after the I hope I say it right, the Genkida Matsuri event, 4-hour event out of Japan. It's pretty evident that Toei is giving it the AAA treatment, and so it's exciting to be a part of something like that again. And I think it's not so much that anything's changed with me. I'm, I've been on the bench ready to get up and play. So I'm ready. I feel like I'm ready to go. And I hope we, like I said, I hope we get to do it early. I hope we don't have to wait too long in order to get our parts done. As you probably are aware, Crunchyroll does a lot of shows now that are simuldubs. So when it comes out in Japan, it comes out in the United States at the same time. I assume that's how we'll do it for Dragon Ball Super. But
because when they did drop the new season of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, amazing show so far. The spinoff has been great so far. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Please don't let the universe end.
Right.
They did the same thing. They released the dub and sub at the same time as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a smart move to do, because I was like, who wants to wait for the dub to come out? I mean, because when they did that for Dragon Ball Super back then, I was like, they didn't drop it on the same year as 20. And then it's starting in 2017 instead of 2015 for you guys. I was like, no.
Yeah. We've definitely got the processes in place to do a fantastic dub and to stay on top of it as it comes out. It just, it depends on the arrangement that Toei makes with whoever dubs it in the United States. I assume Crunchyroll, but yeah, it's going to have to be. Sorry, I didn't realize I had a.
You're good.
Yeah, my bad.
I was also gonna say, like, I guarantee you, Jason.
Yep.
That as soon as the first episode comes out for that new Dragon Ball stuff, Crunchyroll is going to crash.
Well, if the servers crash for that reason, then that's a good enough reason. I think they'll be ready, though. They've got a pretty they've actually got a pretty solid infrastructure in place, so I think they can handle it.
I'm like, oh my god! It's like, well, hey, Dragon Ball's to die for.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that late this year. I was like, yeah, Crunchyroll's going to crash.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen. It'll be fine.
So, next one, and then we'll be in the next session. But before we continue, are you enjoying our conversation so far?
Oh yeah, this is great. I've probably got about 10, maybe 15 minutes total that I can give you left. Okay, yeah.
I'll make it quick.
Okay, all right. Yeah.
If you could suddenly evolve Beerus in this new era without changing who he is, what would you add that only longtime fans would notice?
Something that only longtime fans would notice. That's tough.
Yes.
Like a power? You mean like a physical trait? What do you? I don't.
It can be a power.
A power. Interesting. Almost feel like he has everything he needs, but maybe. It seems like he has a hard time teleporting across the galaxy without Whis. So he'd probably appreciate the ability to just do that himself. Like, you go on ahead, Whis. I'll follow after I'm done with my nap, or I'm having a snack. You can arrive ahead of me. Maybe something like that. It's hard to add. It's hard to add powers to an already mostly all powerful being. So, yeah.
All right, so he got everything he needs. He don't need no changes.
Probably not. Yeah.
Because I've been reading the manga. He's been teaching Vegeta this new transformation, Ultra Ego.
Mm-hmm.
Can't wait to see what it's like when it's animated.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
it's gonna be amazing. And I guarantee you, all the Dragon Ball games are gonna add all these new transformations in there. I was like, oh my god, here we go again. Mm-hmm. Amazing stuff. Excellent. Well, shoot. Now that we're done with that, let's get into this section 5, because we're getting close to the end here. I skipped a full section because I was like, this is the same thing we discussed earlier. We ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
So, Fullmetal Alchemist and Range. So now working in a morally heavy world like Fullmetal Alchemist. Now, did that change how you view characters like Beerus who exists above consequence?
No, yeah, I mean, I really do. I play such a wide range of characters, and when I'm not, I'm always recording stuff, from different shows. I'm currently wrapping up work on a really cool series called Tojima Wants to Be a Common Writer. Yeah, it's really great. There's a number of series that I'm working on where the characters are nothing like Beerus at all. So for me as an actor, I think getting a chance to fill out different different types of humans and different character profiles and with different motivations and characters who don't have powers and who don't have the ability to just like blow up a planet. I think those are really interesting characters for me to play. And it's a nice contrast for when I do come in and play Beerus. They sort of, it all sort of balances out over the course of a career. So I don't know if playing those characters really inform how I play Beerus because they're not Beerus. But as an actor, it certainly is. It certainly is a workout of all that I've ever been trained to do in terms of storytelling to try to find all of the contours of a character, whether it's a all powerful galactic being or just a guy that manages a middle-aged guy that manages a restaurant and wishes that he didn't.
True. And the reason I brought that up, because I know you've done I know Beerus is like your main character for Dragon Ball, but sometimes, some people who watch show don't pay attention to all the other shows and figure out how actors view certain characters because y'all voice so many people. Okay, can I give you one example?
Yeah, what?
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Let's go back to Chris Evans, for example. He's voiced Piccolo, Vegeta, All Might, and everything. And he has to explore the different characters' psyche and how they operate in these different shows. When he gets into when you guys get to a different show, y'all have to act differently. Same voice, but it's differently.
Or different voice, actually.
Yeah, different. Because sometimes you have to change your voices too and make it seem like this is a different character. It ain't the same in all the other stuff you've seen.
Sure.
But basically, and I know a lot of you guys do research on these characters to be like, okay, this is what he looks like, what he's going through. Because sometimes you have to look at their backstories to understand what kind of tragedy or origin story that turned them into the people they are today.
Yeah.
As whereas now I understand what this guy's going through. It's let's see how I can channel my personality into that character as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, Phil, it's I know a lot of folks like to think that we do a ton of research, and there may be actors who do, and kind of this idea of exploring the psyche of the character, and we all make it sound far more probably like mental gymnastics and kind of spiritual woo stuff. I'll just tell you, 95% of what we need in order to be real and present in a scene is what's already there in the scene, on the page, in the script, and in the contours of the scene as it's written, and in the case of anime dubbing, as it already exists on the screen. And so our job is actually very specific. I think it's important if you are a comic book artist or a manga artist, if you're a writer, it is probably important to have those backstories. But as actors, unless you're doing theater and you're given a very interesting and specific set of circumstances, and you really do have to do a lot of research on certain characters. But at least for what we do, I think it's really about the vocal instrument. And it's about the use of the imagination and the ability to play and to, accept the given circumstances of the scene. If you show up, and as I have many times, and they say, you are a demon in human form that wants to go good, but they might give you a 90-second synopsis of, or even less, and it's your job to just hit the ground running and go. And so a lot of times I start out doing a character that I have no idea about, but my job is to put a voice that makes sense into what I see on the screen, and to take the cues and the clues that I'm given, and go with that. and actually we end up as actors sometimes learning about our characters as the show progresses. The one that I referenced a few minutes ago, Tojima wants to be a common writer. My guy starts out as a mid-level thug, kind of a mid-level boss thug, but a thug nonetheless. But as the show progresses, we learn so much more about him and about his humanity and about his hopes and dreams and where he came from as a kid. It's amazing. But when I started, I didn't know any of that stuff about him. But I still had to portray him as effectively and as truthfully as possible, based on the given circumstances of each individual scene. And that's kind of really how most of us work, is it's less about our research or our kind of philosophical musings about, deep things about the character or the story. A lot of times we just don't know much about the story. There's a lot of content out there. There's a lot of stuff that comes out that just never, the fans just, it lands on the platform and then people watch it or nobody watches it and then it's forgotten about. And it would be tough to invest heavily into every single role that we do, just to kind of have our hearts broken by the fact that nobody watches it. So, and it's the same with Beerus. It's like I said before, we didn't know much about Beerus when he was introduced to us. We had to learn about Beerus as we went along, but we had to nail some things early on. And so luckily we had, a voice actor, particularly an English speaking voice actor dubbing anime. They have the script to go off of. They have the animation that's been done already. And they also have a little bit of a clue by sometimes just listening to the Japanese voice actor. Not that we speak Japanese, because I don't, but just listening to how they do the cadence and kind of the texture of the voice and the intention and the emotionality of that moment. Sometimes the Japanese voice actor will make what looks like a quiet moment sound a lot more emotional than I would do it. And so then we have to make a choice. Do we go for what they did, or do we just do what makes sense to us? So a lot of what we do is just kind of on the fly. And the reason that we do it well, the reason I think if I do it well, the reason it is because I've been doing it a long time. I don't think I was very good at it when I started. I thought I was at the time. I thought that's why I was getting hired. But when I listened to the stuff that I did back in the late 90s, early 2000s with ADV Films, there's some stuff that I think I'm proud of, that I like. And there's some stuff I wish I could do it again. So,
and also, I respect that, Jason. I think I appreciate you telling me that. Sometimes y'all just don't have the time to do the research, and we just gotta adapt with what we have. You're on a short string here.
Sure.
So we just got to make use of what we have.
Yeah, we use everything we can. And sometimes if there's a really cool looking show that I'm auditioning for, I'll see if I can find it on Crunchyroll. Sometimes it's already on the platform, just in the dub version or the subtitle version. Or there might be maybe a YouTube channel where somebody's talking about it, or there's old versions of it. Maybe there's a trailer, at least, that I can watch if it's a brand new show. Maybe there's a Japanese trailer that's not dubbed, obviously. So we do try to find out what's the tone of the show, but we just can't always do that, and we don't have the luxury of doing that. And frankly, the studios don't give us the time to do that. So our job is to be good from the jump, and so that's what we try to do.
Gotcha. I understand. All right, well, we're at the finale here, which is a good thing, because I know you don't have much time left. But hey, I went too quickly, didn't I?
You did well, Phil. Thank you.
Thank you. Listen, if I mess up, please let me know.
I'm sure your fans your listeners will let you know. That's not my.
Gotcha. Section 6 is legacy and impact. Now, years from now, when someone hears your voice as Beerus for the first time, what do you hope they feel in that moment?
I hope that they are mesmerized by the character. They don't, I hope that they forget that they're, even watching a performance. I hope that they're just absorbed by the story. And then maybe later on they'll be like, wow, who was that? Who was that voice? Who was the guy that did that voice? That's really cool. Yeah, that would be cool. I'd like to imagine, I would like to think that someday my grandchildren, great-grandchildren, will hear some of that work, maybe and maybe be proud of good old granddad, you know, for having done it. So yeah.
And then lastly, and this is going to be the toughest one, tearjerker.
Uh-oh.
If this were the last time you ever voiced Beerus, what would you want your final line as him to be?
Yes. Maybe well done, Vegeta. You are a true god of destruction. And now I go to take my eternal nap. Goodbye. And Hakai. Or something like that. I don't know.
Well done. That was amazing.
Yeah, and I hope nobody listens to this and goes and writes a story saying that I think Vegeta is the new god of destruction. I'm just playing. This is a sandbox. We're just goofing off and making voices. I have no idea. That's everything I just did was fan fiction. So let's just be clear.
That is amazing. Oh my! I'm getting goosebumps.
Oh boy, me too. A little bit.
Oh, I think that wraps it up. Did you enjoy our talk today?
That was great, Phil. Thank you so much for having me on your show. What an honor.
Hey, I try to do my best every day with these things.
Yes, sir. You do well. You do well. If anybody wants to follow me, they can find me on socials as Mr. Jason Douglas, and my link tree, which is also Mr. Jason Douglas, also includes links to as many appearances as I can remember to kind of put in there. I try to do them all. But the new shows are being announced all the time. But that's a great way to just go see like where am I going to be coming up in the near future. So I'll just leave that for you, and you can either leave this video in or you can just maybe put it in the show notes.
Don't worry, I'll work my magic.
All right, brother. I know you got it.